Hi, I'm Darren Fraser, Grace Fraser's dad from Newcastle upon Tyne. We've been supported by Tom's Trust for the last 6 years through the Great North East Children's Hospital. Grace was diagnosed with a medulloblastoma with extended nodules. Basically, the way it was explained to us is that at the top of Grace's spinal cord in her brain, the tumour had grew and was the size of a golf ball, which was stopping most of the spinal fluid getting into the brain, i.e. that's why she was stumbling and falling over a lot, which we thought she was just being clumsy. So the first signs that something wasn't right with Grace was when she was a baby, she started standing up and then walking around the furniture and then sort of started running. She didn't really walk, and then she sort of started going a bit backwards, stumbling over, tripping over things. She cut her eye on the TV cabinet. She started being violently sick as well. And then we rushed up to the GP. GP referred her to community paediatrics, and she didn't get any better over a period of time. And then we took her back to the GP and they sent us up to A&E. When we received Grace's diagnosis and our lives changed, was A&E referred us for a scan, which was the day after we first went into A&E. We went into the scan. We sat in the MRI scan with Grace. We were taken back to the room, and a doctor said that it's a brain tumour. My wife went, he's trying to say my daughter's got cancer. He said yes. He disappeared. We'd never seen him again. And then the lovely Simon Bailey come in with his team, explained everything to us. It's hard to take everything in at that time. Your mind is wobbling. It's like it's wandering everywhere. Your life does change. It doesn't feel like it's getting any better. You feel like you want to give up. You feel like you've failed as a parent. But then you find something in yourself, find some resilience. You've got to put your daughter first. And that's the main thing when you get told that anything like about brain tumour and cancer. It's the word cancer that affects you. It's not what's going on else. It's you just hear that word cancer. And it's so hard. You just get together as a family and you push through it. The journey since Grace's diagnosis has been really hard, up and down. As a family, it's really hard. Especially like me and my wife. We both worked full time. I was in the process of getting made redundant when Grace was diagnosed. So we both stopped working so we could spend every moment with Grace, because it's hard to say, but you don't know if they're going to make it. Especially when she went in for surgery, we were given like a 50-50 chance. I don't know, people ask with a question, how did you do it? How did you get through it? You find something within you that you've got to push through it, and you've got to support each other. Yes, you have your good days, you have your bad days. You want to run off and don't come back. You fight and argue as a family, because I don't know if everyone is like us, but we take it out on the people that you're closest to, the people that you love the most, and we did that. We kept it within the family, and there was lots of support from lots of different places as well. But as a family, you've got to just try and forget about the bad and focus on the good, and focus on end of treatment, getting through all the chemo, the sickness, and you try and wrap them in a bubble, but you can't really. You've got to try and let them be a child, which is hard in itself. Grace's diagnosis has affected mine and my wife's relationship a lot. We have talked about separation over the years, divorce. You do struggle, you do get on with it, and you do find out who your actual real friends are. People who say that you're their friends aren't necessarily. They will find out like because a lot of people, your true friends will be there no matter what, and they'll come round and they'll offer support and your help. But I think the hardest thing is accepting help, because I know as a dad and a parent that you want to protect your child and you want to be that person to do everything you can. My mental health has suffered before we got involved with Tom's Trust was really bad. When Grace was diagnosed, I felt like I'd failed as a parent. I felt it was all my fault. I couldn't go out to work after Grace has relapsed as much as what I wanted. So our financial situation really suffered. And I got it into my head that my family would be better off without me around financially. Because when Grace was diagnosed, we took out life insurance to make sure that Grace was cared for if needs be when we weren't around. So when I got that in my head, I left the house, got in my car and was going to jump off the Tyne Bridge. Got near the Tyne Bridge and luckily something clicked in my head and I turned the car around and come back home. And since then, more open talk about my mental health with everybody. I try work out every day. Exercise releases a chemical in your brain that makes you feel better, makes you feel happier. I do dabble in a bit of ice bath and cold water therapy, which gives a shock to the system, but it is really, really good for my mental health. I find it really therapeutical. We were introduced to Sarah Verity, the clinical psychologist for Tom's Trust, around 2016. It was just before Grace was finishing her last chemotherapy. Sarah got involved as she wanted to assess Grace cognitively to see what the first initial signs of the chemotherapy and the radiotherapy that Grace had been through, how it affected her. And then she started talking about obviously Tom's Trust and how they help children with brain tumours and how there's a trial of methylphenidate to speed up the processing of the children's brain. And we were really interested and we were accepted and got taken on board, and the rest is history. So currently our situation is really good at the minute. Grace is cancer free, has been for 6 years now. She is currently still taking methylphenidate supported by Tom's Trust. She is now on the long lasting tablet, which is a lot better because we give it in the morning, lasts 12 hours. Really, as a family, we're in a good place, both back working. Grace is now currently in high school, and as a family we try to do day-to-day things, which sometimes are a bit hard with Grace. She just doesn't like certain things, doesn't like a lot of noise and stuff, but we try to be a normal family. I found sharing our story hard and good. It is hard to talk about a lot of it, but then I find the rewards of it are really good. It's you see lots of stuff on social media about people who are struggling, and if you can just help one person, then it's worth talking over and over and over again about what our family have been through. It's all worth it in the end. What I would like to see more of in hospitals is after your child's been diagnosed, your head's like it's like in a washing machine. You need to be sat down, I think, several times to talk about what's happened, what's going to happen, like the plan ahead. You need to hear it a few times before it sinks in. It can't just be told once. We were told once and then we had to ask questions and questions and questions. The support afterwards by the hospital. You've got a goal whilst your family's going through this of them surviving, finishing chemo, and then after it, you've hit the goal and there's nothing there. You've got nothing to aim for. You feel like you've come to the end of the path and you don't know where you're going. I think some sort of support there to how you carry on after treatment is vital. What I think of when I think of Tom's Trust is Sarah Verity. Sarah is the first person that we met that was involved with Tom's Trust. But since then, Tom's Trust is an amazing charity. Started from a place of bereavement and sadness, and how they've come from that to do what they do now is amazing. I'm really grateful for their support. My workplace were really understanding. In the end, I was getting in the process of getting made redundant. Initially, they said that I would just start my redundancy then. I would just be made redundant. Then the top boss at the time got wind of it, and he said that that's not going to happen. They paid me right up until the last redundancies. How I engaged with Sarah, the psychologist, Tom's Trust, at first was very tricky. I personally felt that she come out with all the bad news first, and I didn't take that very well. I looked at it negatively. Over the years, Sarah has been a massive supporter of our family. I still to this day don't think we would have got through COVID without Sarah being there. Sarah, every week, it's the first few months of COVID, would video call us to talk about various things, see how we're getting on. Yeah, Sarah was very, very supportive, and our relationship now, I'm glad to say, is really good. The difference for the support that we have from Sarah from Tom's Trust has been massive. She's helped us with various issues with Grace, not just like our brain tumour issues, our behaviour issues, helping us with advice of getting Grace into a nice good sleeping pattern, how to react when Grace isn't at her best, being there to just say, look, things won't happen first try, they'll take time, it's trial and error, a lot of things, especially with a child who's had a brain injury.